بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم قال سمعت فاطمة أنها قالت دخل علي برسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة فقلت عليك السلام وقال إني أجد في بدني زوفا فقلت له أعيذك بالله يا أبتاه من الزوف فقال يا فاطمة ائتيني بالكساء اليماني فغطيني به فأتيته بالكساء اليماني فغطيت به وصرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يطلع له كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
ما كان إلا ساعة وإذا بولد الحسن عليه السلام قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت عليك السلام يا قرة عيني وسورة فؤادي فقال يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كان رائحة جد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء فأقبل حسن عليه السلام نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جده يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم تأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حظي قد أذنت لك فدخل معه تحت الكساء.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
ما كان إلا سعد وإذا بولد الحسين عليه السلام قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت عليك السلام يا قرة عيني وسبلة فؤادي قال لي يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم فقلت نعم إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء فدنا الحسين عليه السلام نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جداه السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله وتأذن لي أن أكون معكما تحت الكساء فقالوا عليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافي أمتي قد أذنت لك فدخل معهما تحت الكساء.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب عليه السلام وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم فقلت عليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كان رائحة أخي وابن عمي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم فقلت نعم ها هو مع ولدك تحت الكساء فأقبل علي عليه السلام نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم تأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء قال وعليك السلام يا أخي ووصي وخليفتي وصاحب اللواء قد أذنت لك فدخل علي عليه السلام تحت الكساء.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
ثم أتيتنا على الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء قال وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بيضاتي قد أذنت لك فدخلت تحت الكساء.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
لما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ برسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم بطرف الكساء ووضع بيده يومنا إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وهامتي لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وحفظ لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن أعداهم وهم محب لمن أحبهم إنهم مني وأنا منهم وجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
قال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي يا سكان السماوات إني ما خلقت السماء مبنية ولا أرضا مطية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئة ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل عليه السلام يا ربي ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة هم فاطمة وأبوها وبعلها وبنوها.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
فقال جبرائيل عليه السلام يا ربي تأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض لأكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمين جبريل عليه السلام وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. العلي الأعلى يقرأك السلام ويخصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت السماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدهية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لعدلكم ومحبتكم. وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم؟ فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم عليك السلام يا أمين وهي الله إنهم نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل عليه السلام معنا تحت الكساء.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
قال لي بأن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
قال علي لأبي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني برسالة النجيم ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه الجمع من شيعتنا ومحبنا إلا ونزل عليهم الرحمة وحفظ بهم الملائكة واستغفر لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. فقال علي عليه السلام إذا والله فزنا وفاز شيعتنا ورب الكعبة.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
قال برسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني برسالة النبي ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا وفيه محموم إلا وفرج الله همه ولا معه إلا وكشف الله غمه ولا طالب حاجة إلا قضى الله حاجته. فقال علي عليه السلام إذن والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيعتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
حاضرین مجلس سے اجتماع سے کے بعد ایک دفعہ سورہ فاتحہ اور ایک 3 دفعہ سورہ اخلاص اول و آخر دور کے ساتھ برائے سر ثواب سید حدیق احمد خلیق احمد سید خلیق احمد اور جملہ مومن مومنات شیعہ حضرت عجب الرحمن کے دنیا سے قائم کے درجہ کی بلندی کے لیے
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
مجيب الدعوة إنك غافر السيئات قال الحاجات إنك على كل شيء برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
اللهم
صل على محمد وآل محمد.
इमाम ज़माना बुलंद पर सलावत.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
मकबर के जनाजे पे मुझे ले चलो भैया. मकबर के जनाजे पे मुझे ले चलो भैया. हम मिल के उठा लेंगे हम मिल के उठा लेंगे जवालाल का लाशा. अकबर के जनाजे पे मुझे ले चलो भैया. 18 बरस वाले का सर गोद में लेकर मैं नादे अली पढ़ती रहूंगी ये बरादर. तुम सीना जो नेज़ा अकबर के जनाजे पे मुझे ले चलो भैया, और जो जख्म लगे हैं वो दिखाएगा ना तुमको, शायद वो तकल्लुफ में बताएगा ना तुमको। मैं माँ हूँ मगर मुझसे छुपा ही नहीं सकता, अकबर के जनाजे पे मुझे ले चलो भैया। मैं जानती हूँ कैसे जवां होते हैं बेटे, और देखने पड़ जाए अगर उनके जनाजे, अब मैं भी समझ सकती हूँ औलाद का सदमा, अकबर के जनाजे पे मुझे ले चलो भैया। आने नहीं दूंगी मैं किसी को भी वहाँ पर, जी भर के गले मिलना जवालाल से जाकर, मैं मौत से कह दूंगी जरा देर ठहर जा, अकबर के जनाजे पे मुझे ले चलो भैया। दिगर बुलंद कर सको। तश्त में शाह का सर कैद में जब लाया गया, रुके चिल्लाई सकीना दर जिंदान खुला, नब्ज से हाथ हटाओ जरा अम्मा देखो, मैं न कहती थी कि आए पदर लेने को, मैं न कहती थी कि आए पदर लेने को, गोद में बाप का सर ले के सकीना बोली, बाबा एक बार भी तुमने ना खबर ली मेरी, बाबा एक बार भी तुमने ना खबर ली मेरी, तुम बिन कई रातों से मैं सोई नहीं बाबा, तुम बिन कई रातों से मैं सोई नहीं बाबा, क्या याद सकीना तुम्हें आई नहीं बाबा, तुम बिन कई रातों से मैं सोई नहीं बाबा, याद आता है वो आपका सीने पे सुलाना, मुँह चूमना और गोद में शफ़क़त से बिठाना, नन्हे से मेरे हाथों को आँखों से लगाना, अब पूछ शिमर बालों से पकड़ कर दौड़ाए चला जाता था रहवार सितमगर मजबूर थी दौड़ूं यूं ही घोड़ों के बराबर हालत वो मेरी आपने देखी नहीं बाबा तुम बिन कई रातों से मैं सोई नहीं बाबा तुम बिन कई रातों से मैं सोई नहीं बाबा एक मोड़ पे जालिम ने सताया मुझे ऐसे ले आया मुझे वो सरे अब्बास के आगे और सामने उनके मुझे मारे थे तमाचे सब सह गई चुपचाप में रोई नहीं बाबा तुम बिन कई रातों से मैं सोई नहीं बाबा बुराई खुशनुदी इमाम ज़माना बुलंद तर सलवात राय खुशनुदी इमाम ज़माना बुलंद तर सलवात
अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद
खुशनुदी इमाम ज़माना बुलंद तर सलावत
अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद
Before we start, there's narrations that say the good souls, they go to Wad al-Salam and they sit amongst each other and they conversate with each other. All the souls, all the good believers, their souls are actually in Wad al-Salam. And when we remember them or read Fatiha for them, they get a gift. So if you can please send a gift to the marhum and all the marhums who have passed away. After Allah Salat Muhammadin wa Ali Muhammad, if you can read Surah Al-Fatiha.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون صدق الله العلي العظيم صلى الله عليه وسلم
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله صلى الله عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء صلى الله عليك صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله صلى الله عليك يا شهيد الكربلاء قال الله في كتابه المجيد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد صدق الله العلي العظيم صلى الله على محمد وعلى
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Respected brothers in Islam, Assalamu alaikum. When one wants to analyze Karbala and the events of Karbala, we will see that even though Karbala was a battle that was fought in one day during one time, right? From morning to Dhuhr. But yet we see Karbala, and when one wants to extract certain lessons from it, we can learn a lot of lessons from Karbala. For example, sacrificing for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Other lessons that we can learn is how to be courageous in the face of enemies, right? When you're facing enemies or the oppressors, we learn how to be brave by even reading or watching or listening through the history of Karbala. Also, Karbala teaches us to stand up against injustice. This is what Imam Hussein alayhi salam has taught us. Although there are many lessons to be learned in Karbala, and it will take a series of lectures just to speak about one of the lessons in Karbala. With this lecture, I would like to take out one lesson from Karbala, and inshallah, we would like to discuss it. One of the lessons that everyone, myself included, that we need to take is sincerity. Sincerity is ikhlas. For example, we just recited Surah Al-Ikhlas. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Surah Al-Ikhlas is also called Surah Al-Tawheed. When we have ikhlas, sincerity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, know that nothing will ever defeat us. Sallallahu Muhammad. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in the Quran, many verses in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has spoken about ikhlas and having sincerity, and which are the people who have sincerity in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For example, the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam and their companions have clear sincerity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said the following in the Quran in chapter 72, chapter 67, verse 2. He says the following, that He might try you to see which one of you are the fairest in works. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may try us in many ways, and He's more than welcome to try us in many ways. It is a test. This life is a test, brothers and sisters. It is a test, just like we think that we finished university or we think that we finished school, that our exams are over. No. This whole life, from beginning to death, is an examination for us. We are still writing our exams. When do we hand in our exams? Is the moment Malik al-Maut comes and takes my soul. When do I see the results of my exams? Is Yawm al-Qiyamah. Yawm al-Qiyamah is the day that I will see the results of my exam. When is the time that I will see when I will go, or where do I go? Because sometimes we think that death is the end. No, death is the beginning. For example, I was just having a conversation with someone earlier. There was a wedding. I was invited to, I went. And then I'm like, look, subhanAllah, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts a life and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts another life. He's like, how? These two couples are about to start a new life. When we die, we start a new life. Brothers and sisters, we're in a journey, right? It's like how someone puts it once. I remember this, listen to this person, and he says, when you go to a hotel, you're going to stay there for what? 2-3 days or whatever it is that you booked the hotel. Would someone renovate the hotel? Have some painters coming in and paint the wall, right? You're going to furnish the place. You're going to leave. It's the same thing as this world. Yes, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam has given us advice about this world. And he told us, live in this world like you're never going to die. But live for the hereafter as if you will die tomorrow. Live for this world like what? Like you're never going to die. But live for the hereafter as if you will die tomorrow. Meaning what? Yes, work. No one say don't work. Work, make a living, make a good living. No problem. But don't forget the akhirah. Malik al-Maut is known to visit us 5 times a day. When is this 5 times a day? These 5 times a day are doing prayers. Now I have to ask myself, is my last time going on to be on this earth me just sitting down and not praying, or me worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? This is the sincerity that we need to have. We need to have the sincerity that death is guaranteed for everyone. How we're going to die, we do not know. This knowledge is up to Allah. But death is guaranteed for everyone. Right now, if I was to go in the room, around the room, and ask everyone a question, they will know the answer to this. If I was to ask one a question, they will not know the answer to this. The question that everyone will know is, and they will have sincerity that this happened, when is your birthday? Everyone will tell me the dates of their birthday, or sometimes they'll even know the time that they were born, on which dates, right? But if I was to go around the room, when are you going to die? When are you going to die? What's the answer everyone will give me? I do not know. This knowledge is only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because this knowledge is only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is important for us to have sincerity in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sallallahu Muhammadin wa Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salam is known to have said the following regarding chapter 67 verse 2. He says, it does not mean one of you whose deeds are more numerous, but one is more rightful in his conduct. And this rightness is nothing but fear of God and sincerity of intention, meaning niyyah, and fear. Then he added, he continued on saying, to preserve in an action until it becomes sincere is more difficult than performing the action itself, and sincerity of action lies in this, that you should not desire anyone to praise you for it except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the intention to succeed in this action. Lo, verily intention is action in itself. Then the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in chapter 17, verse 84. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about ikhlas, about the people who have ikhlas, the right of niyyah, right? There was a story I was literally talking about in Kitchener, how there was a story about a person. He came in the masjid and he's praying, and there were people praying sitting behind him. Sometimes there's chairs in the masjid where the old people are known to sit. I call this the seat of the veterans, right? The old people sit there. So this person was praying, and mashallah, his prayers were beautiful. He was praying, he was standing up praying. The sheikh came. He came in, he sat with the veterans, and then the person sitting there, one of the veterans, like, oh, mashallah, this guy's prayers, mashallah, they're beautiful. What did this person do? He turned around, he's praying, he heard the person saying this, he turned around and said, and I'm also fasting. Right? MashaAllah, his prayers are beautiful. By the way, I'm also fasting. Right? Here, this is called riyah, showing off. Showing off is not sincerity. So sometimes we fall into this trap, brothers and sisters. How? Someone can be praying, or the leader, the sheikh, can be reading, right? Leading the prayers, and he's doing qunut. And when we're doing qunut, sometimes we tend to cry, or sometimes we tend to feel sad, right? But if this sadness is because of riyah, then the whole prayer is batil. The whole prayer is what? Batil. Because of the sincerity. Now, I want to show off how much of the Quran I know. So I read in my prayers, I read Surah Al-Naba, I read Surah Al-Baqarah, I read the longest surah, or the longest surahs that I know, right? Just to show off. Here my intention has changed. Why? Because my intention is no longer qurbatan ilallahi ta'ala. My intention is what? Qurbatan ila nas.
Subhanallah.
Right? So it is no longer my intention. The sincerity of the prayers might have started qurbatan ilallahi ta'ala, but it has changed to what? Qurbatan ila nas. Because I want to please people. So my sincerity has changed and my whole prayers has been destroyed. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So having ikhlas and doing things for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very important for us, brothers and sisters. Because everything that we do should only be for whom? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I shouldn't do it because I want to please my imam. First, I want to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased, then my imam is pleased. We are told in a narration that the imam of our time, Imam Ajal al-Farjum wa Sharif, receives a report card, right? Our deeds, our good deeds and our bad deeds, every Thursday night. He receives it. And when he sees it, he sees, what did Naeem do? Okay, he did that. What did he do? And then he looks at the bad deeds. What did he do? Oh, he has a lot of bad deeds. The Imam starts weeping. The Imam starts weeping. When he sees that, mashallah, there's a gathering here, he sees it, he starts to smile and he's happy. So we should ask ourselves, what is the sincerity of me being here? What is the sincerity of me doing my daily prayers? Is it for me to show off? Or is it for me to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Imams of my time? Sallallahu
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Because we know when we have sincerity, everything goes so smoothly. Yes, sometimes we might hit bumps along the way. That's not an issue. That's not a problem. Right? Like what we said before. Why me? What should we say instead? Why not me? Right? Why not me? Because if my sincerity is clean and my intention is clean, then my question should be, why not me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Right? Thank you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for entrusting me with this type of test. Right? Because I'm telling you, some of us, if we were to be faced with calamities, even though we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, put me close to you. I want to be one of your best servants. Make me one of your best servants. When we get a taste of the calamity, what do we say? Oh Allah, why me? Why always me? Where is the sincerity? Where is my sincerity in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That He will deliver me out of these type of calamities. Because we know tribulations, trials and tribulations are not meant to last forever. Right? Remember, Syed, we were just talking about COVID, how fast it went. Right? We thought that this was going to last forever. But look at it now. It's in the history. It's in the past. It's the same thing with the Spanish flu. When it came, people thought it was going to last forever. But eventually it ended. And it's the same thing with trials and tribulations. Right? It's just like, for example, what sharpens the sword? Steel, iron sharpens iron. Right? But look at how the sword is made. Right? How is the sword made? Is it just like I take metal and that? No. I have to take metal. I have to put it in fire. Then I have to somehow bend it in a certain way. And then the sword becomes forged. Right? The sword becomes made. And it becomes sharp. Now, how does a human being become sharp with sincerity? By going through trials and tribulations. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen us to be His favorite servants. So that's why He puts me through trials and tribulations. So in many ways and in many reasons. Maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to put me in the highest heavens. Right? So what has to be done first? The soul has to be cleansed. Right? The soul itself has to be cleansed. How do we cleanse our souls? One is not by taking a shower. No, this doesn't cleanse my soul. Right? Salat. But before salat, what is it? Wudu. I have to do wudu to purify my soul so that I can stand in front of Allah. The moment I know the meaning of the prayers, my sincerity goes higher. For example, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. He had so much awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that once when he was in sujood, people thought that he passed away. They ran to Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. And people started giving their condolences to her. My condolences, Amir al-Mu'mineen has passed away. They're like, wait. What position was he in? He was in sujood. Oh, that's just him praying. And in another situation, Amir al-Mu'mineen was known to have an arrow in his foot, Achilles' foot, right? What happened? When were they told to take out the arrow? They were told to take out the arrow when? When he's in sujood. Why? Because the sujood is the highest and the lowest place that anyone can ever be. Because the sujood will humble the person. And when the person is in sujood, this is when all their dhunub, all their sins fall off of them. Right? Also, when we're in prayers, when we're praying, brothers and sisters, right? What's happening? We're reliving life from the beginning to the death, and when we are resurrected again, right? How short is life? We think life, 70 years, 80 years, 100 years? No. Life is as short of the first sujood, and you get up again, and you sit down, and you say what when you get up from the first sujood? Astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh. Why? Because you are raising up again. Then you say Allahu Akbar. Then you go back down in sujood. Then you stand up again and you repeat the process. Either for 2 rakats, 4 rakats, or 3 rakats. 5 days we're reminded of death. 5 days we're reminded to keep our sincerity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because when you do your prayers, when you're saying, I'm praying, Salatul Fajr, Qurbatan ila Allah, ila what? Abi? Ila Ummi? Ila Ukhti? No. You saying, to gain closest to my mother? No. To my father? No. To my sister? To my brother? No. To gain closeness to whom? To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So if we have ikhlas, and if we have sincerity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, many things and many blessings will come into our lives. Sallallahu Muhammadin. Another one for the love of Fatima In Surah Al-Zumar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has spoken about ikhlas. Surah Al-Zumar, verse 3. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says the following. Know that the pure religion is for Allah. Not for Rasulullah. Not for the Imams. For whom? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those who take gods besides Allah, meaning they're justifying it, okay? We solely worship them that they may bring us near to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, someone who you ask them, why do you worship idols? Why do you worship Nabi Isa alayhi salam? Right? Why do you say he's the son of God? I worship him. Why? Because he's going to bring me close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No. We do not worship anyone except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why when we say the kalima, what's the kalima? La ilaha illallah. It doesn't say Allahu, right? We have to negate something, which is La ilaha. What's the meaning of La ilaha? No God. Do we stop there? No. We have an exception. Illallah. So we're negating the false gods, right? The false gods, all the false gods, we're negating them by saying La ilaha. Then we're putting an exception and saying, listen, all these false gods, all these gods are false, except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because he's the true God. And if I was to say he's one as a number, I've done kufr. Because one is a creation. It's not the creator. Right? So if I say one is a number, no. One as he is the only one existing. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when this ayah came and it's speaking about those people who say, listen, we're just worshiping these people because they get us closer towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam disliked people that worshiped him. Disliked people that worshiped him. Because there were people that actually worshipped Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. To the point that he disliked them. He's like, no. Nabi Isa alayhi salam will also do the same thing on the day of judgment. He will say once, you have attributed me to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I am not the son of God, nor am I God. So I don't know why you worship me. So he will disown these people, these type of people. Amir al-Mu'mineen, if someone was to worship Amir al-Mu'mineen, they are far away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Amir al-Mu'mineen, regardless of their intention. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah continues on with this ayah. He says, Allah will judge between them regarding that wherein they differ. Allah never guides one who is disbelieving and liar. Meaning what? Does this mean Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does dhulm? No. We know, for example, there's positive attributes, sifat al-thubutiyya and sifat al-salbiyya. Sifat al-thubutiyya are the positive attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The sifat al-salbiyya are the negative attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for example, the negative attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, for example, Allah laysa bi jism. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not have a body. Allah laysa bi zalim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not an oppressor. Right? So we say he is not, and we put a negative attribute. These are the negative attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So someone who's disbelieving, they have wronged themselves. They have done dhulm to themselves. Right? What do we say in Dua Kamel? Zalamtu what? Nafsak? No. Zalamtu nafsi. I have done oppression to myself. Why? Because I have sinned and I have lost the sincerity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And in Surah Al-Ikhlas, what does Allah say? Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Say, He is one. Allahu samad. Allah is all-embracing. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. He does not beget, nor is he begotten. Wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Nor does he have any equals. This is Surah Ikhlas. This is why it's best to recite it when? In the second rakat of your prayers. In the second surah, because you read Surah Al-Fatiha, then Surah Al-Ikhlas. Reading Surah Al-Ikhlas has many rewards to it also. And it strengthens the person's belief and the sincerity in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when we look in Karbala, when we look at the Shuhada, they had sincerity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be pleased with them. Why? Because they're fighting that battle not to impress Imam Hussein alayhi salam. They're fighting that battle not to impress their tribes or their families or their wives. No, they're fighting that battle with Imam Hussein alayhi salam for whom? For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to gain the intercession of Rasulullah and to gain the acceptance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can accept this little deed from them. So when we look in Karbala, when we look at the events of Karbala, when we look at the events of what Imam Hussein and the trials and tribulations that he went through, he lost a lot of his Sahabas during that time. Me and you might complain about prayers. You might complain, you know what, I'm too busy. I can't pray. I'm too busy to pray. My work is too busy. In war, while they were fighting, time for Salah, Imam Hussein stops, gathered his soldiers. Some of them didn't pray. Some of them were protecting those who were praying. Allah. Arrows were flying towards them. And they stood their ground. How many of us are willing to stand our ground for sincerity? How many of us are willing to stand our ground for prayers? Our bosses will say, listen, you can't pray, you have to be here at this time, otherwise you get fired. How many of us will take that bullet or that arrow of getting fired? How many of us will take that risk? Even though now you have a lot of rights at work. But how many of us will actually take those rights? Imam Hussein alayhi salam died for this. The Sahaba sacrificed their life for this. They spilled their blood for this in Karbala. For us, today, November 11th, what is it? Remembrance Day. It is easy for us to remember the soldiers that died for this country, even though it's usurped, stolen. And we will stand a moment of silence for them, November 11th. But not every day will we stand a moment of silence or even think about Imam Hussein. Why? Because what are we told? Every day is once and everywhere is where? Every day is what? And everywhere is what? Yes. Right? Ashura and Karbala. Everywhere we go. This is our Karbala, brothers and sisters. How many of us are actually willing to obey the Imam? Abu Fadl Abbas, alayhi salam, was he not one of the great companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam? Of course. Would he not sacrifice his life for Imam Hussein alayhi salam? Of course. But look at the obedience and the sincerity that he had towards Aba Abdullah. Why? Because of the love that he has of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was told every time he'll go ask for permission for Abu Abdullah to go fight, he'll go ask, Abu Abdullah, let me go fight. No, you're my back. You're my back. You're what keeps me standing up. Abbas, no, don't go fight. You're not allowed to go fight. He goes back. He sees the face of Imam Hussein alayhi salam starting to change. Every time he will send his son, he will send a companion, he will send his sahabas, his face will start to change. And it will change and it will change and it will change. Abu Abdullah, let me go. Let me go fight for you. Let me go sacrifice my life for you. Let me go sacrifice my life for this religion. No, you can't go. Then the women, the children, they started crying. Al-Atash, Al-Atash. The thirst is killing me. Abu Fadl Abbas went to Imam Hussein. He's like, at least allow me to go get water for them. At least allow me to go get water for them. Imam Hussein gave him permission. He said, go. When he went, think about it. Picture it. Abu Fadl Abbas is right in front of you. He's riding the horse towards the Euphrates. He reaches the Euphrates. He gets in the Euphrates. He cups the water. Then he's about to drink it. Then he tells himself, "O self, would you drink the water before Hussein? Would you drink the water while Hussein is thirsty?" He took the water and he threw it in the air. And not a drop fell back. He took the skin, he put it in the water. Then the enemies came. He's like, listen, if this water gets back to the camp of Hussein, know that you guys will be destroyed. One of them hid behind the palm trees. Abbas is going. He's fighting off the enemies. His right arm gets chopped off. His left hand gets chopped off. Right? And then eventually the spear gets to him. Then he says, Ya brother, please come help me. Ya Abu Abdullah, come to my help. Abu Abdullah goes to him. Now, brothers and sisters, this is not the tragedy that we're talking about right now. I don't want to highlight this tragedy. I want to highlight a tragedy that breaks the hearts. that even history has told us that if we know what truly happened in Karbala, everyone will die. The tragedy that I want to go for is, first let's go back into history in the time of Jahiliyyah. In the time of Jahiliyyah, what they used to do is they used to sacrifice a sheep. And the way, this is narrated by Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam also. When they want to sacrifice a sheep, they put a sheep in the middle during the Jahiliyyah. This is what their tradition is, sacrificing a sheep. And every single one will get weapons, either swords, spears, and whatever it is, and they'll throw it towards that sheep. They'll throw it towards that sheep. Who is this sheep in Karbala? Say that. When the enemy surrounded him, everyone took turns. And it said that the sheep, the head of a sheep is very hard to slaughter. It's very, very hard to slaughter. The neck of a goat is easier to slaughter. When Shimmer, everyone started stabbing the Imam with spears, hitting him with swords. Then when Shimmer finally sat on his chest and started stabbing the Imam, when he cut his neck, mind you, Shimmer's knife was very sharp, but yet the neck of Imam Hussein was like a sheep. It was also hard to cut off. He started beheading the Imam with his dagger. Still during that time, Imam Hussein had sincerity. What type of people would do this to the Imam? These people killed the son of Rasulullah. When they slaughtered his head, not only did they slaughter his head, but when he was taken to the court of Yazid used to play chess on the Imam's head and used to whip him with his whip, his teeth. These are these people that have no sincerity in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no respect for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no respect for His messenger. So we have to ask ourselves, brothers and sisters, what type of person am I when it comes to sincerity? Because when the Imam comes out, would I serve him or would I go against him? And this all has to do with our sincerity. Sallallahu Muhammad. This dua that I'm going to recite is the dua that's known to split the skies. And this is one of the du'as that Imam Hussein alayhi salam recited in Karbala. بحق ياسين والقرآن الحكيم وبحق طه والقرآن العظيم يا من يقضي حوائج السائلين يا من يعلم في الضمير يا منفسا للمكروبين يا مفرجا للمغمومين يا راحم الشيخ الكبير يا رازق الطفل الصغير يا من لا يحتاج إلى تفسير صل على محمد وآل محمد وافعل به اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد رب اغفر لي ولوالدي والمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. And if we can please recite Surah Al-Fatiha for Marhum Syed Hadeeq Rizvi and all those who have passed away. If we can please recite Surah Al-Fatiha and 3 times Surah Al-Ikhlas. After Allah, Surah Muhammadin wa Ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Hussein.
Ya 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 Hussein.
अब्बास ने कहा अब्बास ने एक आन में नक्शा पलट जाए कहा अब्बास ने लाशों से पट जाएगा अब्बास ने एक आन में नक्शा पलट जाए अलौदारे हुसैनी हो इजाजत शय की कर पाऊं अलौदारे हुसैनी हो इजाजत शय की कर पाऊं करूं वो जंग खैबरी जहनों से हट जाएगा अब्बास ने कहा शेर आता है ये कह के भागे नहर से वो शेर आता है लाई ये कह के भागे नहर से वो शेर आता है ये कह के भागे नहर से वो शेर आता है जाएगा अब्बास ने कहा अब्बास ने कहा अब्बास ने हुसैनी हूँ मेरे कदमों को जुम्बिश हो नहीं सकती हुसैनी हूँ मेरे कदमों को जुम्बिश हो नहीं सकती हुसैनी हूँ मेरे कदमों को जुम्बिश हो नहीं सकती हुसैनी हूँ मेरे कदमों को जुम्बिश हो नहीं सकती मलाटा है जो दुनिया की हवा तारुख पलट जाएगा अब्बास ने कहा अब्बास ने कहा अब्बास ने कहा अब्बास ने ये हसरत है सनाए मुर्तजा में गैर के हाथों ये हसरत है सनाए मुर्तजा में गैर के हाथों ये हसरत है सनाए मुर्तजा में गैर के हाथों ये हसरत है सनाए मुर्तजा में गैर के हाथों ज़बान में
जमाना तुझे रोए, अब्बास तेरा हक है, जमाना तुझे रोए, अब्बास तेरा हक है, जमाना तुझे रोए, अब्बास तेरा हक है, जमाना तुझे रोए। जब शाम व सहर फातिमा ज़हरा तुझे रोए, जब शाम व सहर फातिमा ज़हरा तुझे रोए, अब्बास तेरा हक है, ज़माना तुझे रोए, अब्बास तेरा हक है, ज़माना तुझे रोए, अब्बास तेरा हक है, ज़माना तुझे रोए। दुर्गा दिए पहले पे सितमगार खड़ा है, दुर्गा दिए पहले पे सितमगार खड़ा है, कैसे तेरे लाशे पे सकीना तुझे रोए, कैसे तेरे लाशे पे सकीना तुझे रोए, अब्बास तेरा हक है, जमाना तुझे रोए, अब्बास तेरा हक है, जमाना तुझे रोए, अब्बास तेरा हक है, जमाना तुझे रोए। इस वक्त उठाया ना गया था शाहजहां का, जिस वक्त उठाया ना गया था शाहजहां का, उस घड़ी अकबर से ज्यादा तुझे रोए, शायद उस घड़ी अकबर से ज्यादा तुझे रोए, अब्बास तेरा हक है, जमाना तुझे रोए, अब्बास तेरा हक है, जमाना तुझे रोए। हाथों के किस तरह तू घोड़े से गिरा था, मेरे हाथों के किस तरह तू घोड़े से गिरा था, ये सुन के बहुत पहले मदीना तुझे रोए, ये सुन के बहुत पहले मदीना तुझे रोए, अब्बास तेरा हक है, जमाना तुझे रोए, अब्बास तेरा हक है, जमाना तुझे रोए। हक इमाम या हसन या हुसैन, या हुसैन, या हुसैन, या हुसैन, हो आबिदे बीमार था, हो आबिदे बीमार था, चलने से जो लाचार था, चलने से जो लाचार था, और शाम का बाजार था, और शाम का बाजार था, और मुस्तफा की बेटियां औलाद के माँ बाप हसन या हुसैन, 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 या हुसैन।
अस्सलाम वाला जद्देगा व अबीक, अस्सलाम वाला उम्मेगा व अखीक, अस्सलाम वाला दरबाइल लती खल्लत बिकनाई, अलैकुम मिन्नी जमीअन सलामुल्लाहि अबदन व बक़ीत व बक़िया लैल व नहार वला जालहु ला व अहद मिन ज़ियारतिकुम, अस्सलामु अलल हुसैन, अस्सलामु अला अली इब्न हुसैन, अस्सलामु अला औलाद हुसैन, अस्सलामु अला अंसार हुसैन, अस्सलामु अला अस्हाब हुसैन, अस्सलामु अला जमी शुहदाए करबला व सीराने करबला व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातहू। अस्सलामु अलैका या अबा अब्दुल्लाह सालिम अदिल्लाह व रसूल वल हसन वल हुसैन अमीर अलैहिस्सलाम अस्सलाम वालेकुम या अबुल फज़ल अब्बास अस्सलाम वालेकुम या इब्न सय्यद वसीम अस्सलाम वालेकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातहू अस्सलाम वालेकुम या मौला या गरीब अल गुरबा अस्सलाम वालेकुम या मुअनिस ज़ुफ़ाई वल फ़ुक़रा अस्सलाम वालेकुम या शम्स व शमूस अस्सलाम वालेकुम या अनीस व नफूस अय्युहल मदफून बि अर्ज़ितूस सुल्तान रब्बल अजम या अली इब्न मूसा रज़ा राज़ी वल क़द्र वल क़ज़ा कुन शफ़ीना व शफ़ी वालिदिना फ़ी यौमिल जज़ा व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातहू अस्सलाम वालेकुम या मौला या साहिबुल असर व ज़मान अलमान मिन फितनत ज़मान अस्सलाम वालेकुम या खलीफत रहमान अस्सलाम वालेकुम या शरीक अल कुरान अस्सलाम वालेकुम या मदर ईमान अस्सलाम वालेकुम या इमाम ऐसे वजान अस्सलाम वालेकुम या कातिल बुरहान अस्सलाम वालेकुम या दाफ़िज़ ज़ुल्म वल अदवान अस्सलाम वालेकुम या इमाम ज़मानिना हाज़ा अजलल्लाहु तआला फ़रजक अल्लाहु मखरजक व ज़हूरक व जअलना मिन अंसारिक व अवानिक व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातहू
अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व आलि
नारे हैदरी